And now, Detailing Success and PNS Double Black present the Renny Doyle Podcast, a podcast for blue-collar entrepreneurs. Hosted by the detailer of Air Force One and founder of both Detailing Success and the Detail Mafia, Renny Doyle. And now, here's Renny.
Wow, it cut off
There
a little
you
early.
are.
That poor guy. You know, it's like he's married. He just got cut off.
I think he did that himself.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't me. Good morning, guys.
Morning. How you doing?
How are you?
Good, man. Doing good. Snowing finally. I mean, like sticking.
Yeah,
Like
it's
like a year ago we had 2 feet on the ground. Right now we've got it barely covering the ground. I'm all excited like I'm a 12-year-old kid.
it's a little cold and rainy here this morning. So
Yeah,
it was
it's
actually
awesome.
really cold last night.
Yeah, it was cool here too. Well, you can imagine, you know.
I'm sure it was colder.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. But and it's pretty awesome. But got a good cup of coffee going, and this is a cool topic. So good morning, Oscar. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah,
you know.
we roped Oscar into this one. He made the mistake of chiming in and sending us a few notes, and Rennie's like, "Well, why don't you join us?"
Yeah, you want you come on, you know. So hey,
It was
this
funny
is
when I saw it and I was like, this reminds me of something, and I sent it over, and then I was like, okay, I guess I got to be on it now.
there you go.
Thank you. No,
That's
thanks
it.
for having me on, Renny.
You don't have to be on it. We can kick you off right now.
I mean, yeah. Like a woman's like, let me make that happen.
Look,
You don't
see,
have to.
he's
I mean,
gone.
What do you want to? Yeah. What do you want to do? You don't want to.
He's
You don't
back.
want to. Yeah, there you go. you don't want to go work today. Is it raining up there too, Ventura? Hey, did you guys have any of the big waves?
Yeah, we had actually, Chris, when we're talking about it over the weekend, we there's that video that's going around right now of that big wave that came off of Seaward, which is about a mile away from my house. But it wasn't too bad, not a lot of damage. But we did get some rain last night, some heavy rain, but it's sunny and blue skies right now outside. So
Oh wow.
but yeah, we had some flooding. We had you know, on the detail side, a lot of vehicles were flooded out here from the rain last week. Yeah.
Were you growing up there? Were you ever that kid? I mean, you probably used to. You didn't really care, Chris, but anytime we'd get like, you know, big wave action like that, the seas got really rough, man. You know, it was always a risk factor of heading down there in my VW because there's a 50% chance I wasn't going to be able to get home because the thing broke down more than anything. But did you guys ever head just to go see like the big, you know, the big seas, the rough seas, and like watch people just dumb people get swept away because they're up too close? Like, look, honey, hold my beer, and then next thing you know, they're gone. And you see the Coast Guard come out and get them.
I used to ride my bike down there because I mean, growing up in Ventura, we're right by the beach. So I used to ride my bike with my cousins out there to the beach and see that stuff. But there's a meme going around right now about people in Ventura and like we're the only ones that go when the water's coming out of the ocean to go sit right on the sidewalk and see it come hit us. Like,
oh hell yeah! I mean,
there's a lot of people.
I never drove down to the beach, but you know, we have something really special that goes through the valley here. It's called the LA River, and it's a concrete river, and so we would go to the overpasses and see how far the river came up. Which sometimes when it gets real bad, like you're talking, I don't know, what is it, 30 feet deep, and it would get all the way to the top of the ridges.
Oh yeah, I've seen it like that. Well, it's funny because as a kid, El Nino, when I was probably like 8 or 10, it hit. And I remember that was the first time I'd ever heard that term. It was in the 70s, and I remember my poor Danny Wood, man. Danny Wood he's the guy that helped get me into detailing though, because we rode our bikes up and found the airport. But Danny and I decided to steal my oldest brother's, which is 12 years older than me, inflatable kayak, and we decided that in the flood waters, it'd be a really good idea to take and paddle the kayak somewhere. And we got stuck in the currents. We ended up like 5 miles from home. The kayak got punctured and was destroyed. So we went ahead and just threw the paddles and everything away because I was going to get killed anyway. And so that was my first experience with it. We're so lucky we didn't get killed. I mean, I'm not kidding you. We ended up 5 miles. We ended up in San Bernardino. I grew up in Colton. We ended up right down by the 215, 210 interchange. If you guys knew where that, or excuse me, the 215, 10 interchange.
Amazing. You travel the whole Inland Empire with that. That's great.
The whole Inland Empire. Yeah, the whole Inland Empire. So that's an inside joke. So, hey, today this is cool, and we're going to have all of us jump in on this. The underrated superpower of knowing yourself. Knowing yourself is something really tough, and it shouldn't be a standing target your whole life. I will tell you this, and we'll jump into this a little bit. I think I'm back to really who was I supposed to be when I was a kid and in my 20s. So as a young person, I think a lot of us, I think there's people listening that they've always been them. They know they've known who they are pretty much from day one. I was never that person. I kind of had to figure it out, and there's been different chapters, and definitely fatherhood kind of changed that. Because I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's everybody or I don't know. I didn't have a dad, so I didn't have that fatherly figure, so I didn't know really what that was supposed to be and how I was supposed to act. But this is a really interesting topic, and I started out with Ricardo. We all know Ricardo from up in Utah, right? And we had our main event here. We had 100 people here in the shop, and Ricardo came up and asked me a question, and I've shared this several times. Hey, man, do you love yourself? And I'd never asked myself that question, man. And so when I feel like a little beat up, I got to remind myself that I got to love myself. And so knowing yourself it's pretty sad that you've got to, or I've got to, maybe you don't. But let me ask you guys that. Chris, do you love yourself?
Oh, that's a weird. You've asked me that one before, you know.
Yeah. Oscar, you're coming right behind him, so
I put up with myself.
Yeah, you have to, you know.
I kept myself around, you know.
But honestly, do you love yourself? I mean, I think that's a complex, and it's not an easy question. So Oscar, do you have an immediate response, or you kind of stumble with it a little bit too?
It's something ever since, I was there that day when Ricardo asked and you shared that, and I've heard you share it a few times, and it says, it's, resonated with me myself is, I like Chris once said, at times, yes, but I love myself enough to, try to live a healthy lifestyle, and I think it starts with that is the lifestyle that I live, to try and, to live healthy and be healthy, hit the gym, get, clear my mind, do things to keep my state of mind happy. And I think that's where it starts is, by being happy and, loving yourself is I think where it's at, and go back to what Chris said, it's like, you put up with yourself. I think we all put up with ourselves, and I think that's the hardest thing to do. And that's one of the things that, that I happened to share with you guys yesterday is knowing that you got to put up with yourself and how to do it and move on, push through.
I think so. And anybody listening right now, so many good hellos right now, so many good, people, Mexico in the house, Mike Carlin in the house. Good morning, Mike. How you doing, buddy? Just so many people here, but ask yourself that right now. And Mike said something interesting. I think as men, we struggle with that, is that we want to provide and make our families happy, but we forget the little things. And a lot of times those little things are ourselves. And I agree. And I'll even expand that out as men. We definitely do. And I'll sometimes have people say, well, you don't mention women. I'm not a woman. I don't know that perspective. I'd be guessing. And then I'd probably 50% chance I'm wrong, so I can only give it to you. I'd love to hear a woman's, I think they struggle the same way we do, especially strong A-type, entrepreneurs and stuff like that, is that, self-sabotage, getting up in the morning, working out, taking care of yourself. But also let's go one step further. What about your thoughts? I mean, if you don't love yourself and you don't love the people around you, how's shit going to come out? I mean, think about that for a second.
Your thoughts can be a dark place. It can be a very dark place. Thoughts can, me personally, I believe I've been through, I would say I've been through hell and back in my short lifetime that I've been here, dealt with a lot, but I think, controlling the thoughts and controlling your emotions and then controlling your communication on how you present it, all has to, resonate within yourself to do it instead of, and it's hard to talk about as men, like you said, it's hard to get into feelings like that.
It is, especially quietly,
to even express thoughts, you know. And the last time we did one of these, I had another detailer from the East Coast reach out and goes, man, something you talked about just really hit me. You know, he was a Marine, or he was an Army combat vet, and hit me up, and it just like, and we just went down this hole of just talking over Facebook. And it's like, man, like I needed it and he needed it, you know, but it was a lot of thought that was in it that I felt like he couldn't let out at the time, but something resonated with him that we said. And I think it's just hard for us as men to talk about our thoughts and talk about our feelings and how we really feel.
You know, I saw something this morning. I love to read in the morning, and I was reading, and I've got really limited news sources that I go to. And there was a celebrity kid attacking a celebrity dad, and vice versa. They're both kind of ugly to each other, right? And I was like, you know, I mean, he can say he's at peace with it. She can say she's at peace with it. But saying those things about another human, and especially because it's your father or it's your kid, man, you got to live with yourself, you know? And I think that shit's going to come out at some point, and I don't think it's healthy. So, hey, before we jump in, brought to you today, we want to mention a really important sponsor of the show today. It's us, Detailing Success and the Mafia. That if you want to grow your brand, your business, I'm gonna get these guys' perspective. Is that our 1-day trainings? Listen, if you're a pro amateur, it's a great way to start. Or if you're an amateur and you just love doing your own stuff, maybe for some friends, and it's kind of a little side hustle. 1 day is a great thing. But if you're a pro, if you're a professional and you're doing this for a living, or you want to do it for a living, that's what we're all about. Is that we're about building up your brand, your business, your wealth, your worth, and your abilities, and tying all of that in to where every time you take an SOP, every time you do a step, it's profitable. That's what we're about. We're not for everybody. It's an intense 5 days. It's not cheap, but then you've got an opportunity to come into the Mafia and a lot of support. Are they the only group in town? Absolutely not. But they're one of the only and the few and the longest running that are vetted. And we keep a tight rein on that, and a lot of good people in there helping a lot of good people. So brought to you by us. So you guys got anything to add to that? We're going to jump into this.
Oh man. Well, just you know, it's one of those things where I like to always write this. I say we, I mean, it is we, but it's you mostly, help people, you know, build the lifestyle they want. That's the big part of it, right? It is. You know, it doesn't mean that, you know, everybody's after making $1 million. They're just after a lifestyle that makes them happy. So,
and if you want to go make $1 million, we brought that in. Our companies, the companies that I've started and Diane started over the years, is responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars. We know how to build a company, and we've been through a lot of different things. There's the true value of this. So Oscar kind of runs the show on the Mafia side. So once people get here, we say Chris gets them here, and then they go into Oscar's hands once they're here. So Oscar, you want to throw a couple 2 cents in?
Yeah, I mean, the talk about lifestyle. I mean, it completely changed my detailing business where I'm at now. It completely changed my life going through your training, Renny. It really did. You know, taking for what I was when I first went in, did the 5 day. I did not expect it because I had done prior trainings to going to years, and it was just different. It was day and night. The culture, the people in the group, the members have really helped me out. You know, Joe, I always give credit to Joe Flores and, you know, Justin Lobato, who I've always looked up to in the group as my mentors, and I can reach out to. Is it really helped me. And I mean, as far as, you know, like one thing that you said with me is, and we just talked about it, it is expensive, but you know what, if don't really focus on what you're paying to get there, focus on what you're going to make after you leave. And I guarantee you it's well worth it, and you're going to make that money back the first month you get back home. That's how fast you can turn your profit.
Well, and that's what we tell people is that it's really about taking and utilizing your time in a better way. And everything in the training. Listen, when you walk out of the training, you're going to be able to. We'll get off this topic here in a second, but you're going to be able to kick the shit out of 85%, 90% of the detailers in the world, because most of them haven't invested. And when you're investing in something like this, is not only investing in the skill set, you're investing in what makes you money. And so, and there's you go across the industry, and this isn't just our industry. A lot of people, a lot of frauds out there that they haven't done it. They don't know how to do it. They just detailed and been successful through COVID. I hate to say it, that was easy. We're starting to see realities now pop up of what I don't even think self-correction. I think we're just back to normal, and then we got all the world events happening, and it's made things uneasy. So anyway, that's the sponsor for today. And so we'd love to talk business with you if you want to come out to a training. So imagine a world, and Chris, thanks for a lot of these notes, by the way. So imagine a world where there's your decision making is really, it's laser focused. Okay, where your career it's all about purpose, your relationships. There's just a nice even keel, authenticity. It's everything is overflowing as you're comfortable. Sounds good, right? That's knowing who you are, and when you unlock that and you really dig down. And I remember when I wrote the book about detailing, and I just looked that up. I just sent the publisher a note last night, sent myself a note to send the publisher a note today that I want to do an update. And by the way, you guys haven't paid me in 3 years. But wrote the book in 2012, August 7th, 2012 is when it hit Amazon. And I didn't know, now I'm an author. Shit, I never had that title. What do I do? And I remember searching for me. And I just remember going to SEMA right after the book. And that's really a pivotal time that changed a lot for me. One of the pivotal times. But I remember totally leaving SEMA and going, God, that was not me. I knew for a fact. And at that moment, I think I reverted back, and I've stayed there pretty well since then. So for the last 14 years, I've been, I think, authentically me. I think for the first 30 years of my life, so for 44 years, I've been authentically me. That means for 13 years of my life, I wasn't authentically me. I was searching, and that's okay, because I found out that I actually liked the original version. It's like original Coke. I did better with it. And so it's a power that's underutilized. And we spend so much time honing in, our abilities to detail, which is God. I hate to say it. That's, if you're just concentrating on your skills and what coding you're using and chasing trends and molding ourselves into everybody else that's out there, you're just going to fit with everybody else that's out there. Is that it's you that makes us unique. And it's the relationship and your culture and who you are and how you present and how you talk. And it's just unique. I mean, I always bring up the actor Jack Black. Is that his name? The comedian.
Depends on which guy you're thinking of, but that is an actor, yeah.
Yeah, the kind of chubby guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
School of Rock guy.
Yeah, School of Rock guy. He's nothing special. Like he's not a leading man. Looks. Could you imagine him looking any other way? I mean, he wouldn't be him. Woody Harrelson. You want to talk about a dude that's just gone out there and is just, he's Woody. He's weird. You talk about somebody that's went out and tried to figure it out. Snoop Dogg. I mean, you look at Snoop, dude. He just made the news that he's going to do something with announce for the Olympics. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, he's going to be a host on site in Paris.
Oh my God, I can't wait. That's the first Olympic. I'm gonna watch the Olympics just because Snoop Dogg's involved. And you look at Snoop Dogg, man, he's a tall, skinny dude. But could you imagine Snoop any other way? And the answer is no, because I guarantee you all these people you look at Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is that, there's a persona. We've done a lot of work for celebrities over the years. And there is a screen them and a public them. But a lot of them, there's not. Is that there? Bruce Willis, the actor Bruce Willis, he's totally what you see in like Die Hard, his movies. I think Die Hard was who he was when he's on his own. Now, as he's aged, he's probably refined himself, but maybe not. Maybe not. But he was a whole lot of fun to be around. In the time that we were around him. So the world could totally be opened up and by you just simply knowing yourself. And so how do you do that? Is just like when Oscar came to training, or Chris, they both started out at training. Chris came to our training down in Orange County with detailing.com. Oscar came through Big Bear, and both of them started out.
I came through Big Bear eventually too. I did both.
Yeah. You did both. You did both. He only did once. He only did one. So it. He only did one. But he's been here a lot. But hey, you guys, as you've grown your business and your abilities coming up through the time that you were young all the way to now, is that if people are just working, and this is all too common with blue collar, is all you're working on is honing in skills and your product knowledge, which is important. But what about you? How many people, is working on you, on getting better, on liking what you project is huge. What you say to other, let me tell you, if you're nice, it means a great deal. If you say something that shouldn't be said to somebody, that spreads like wildfire. And so you've been able to take in knowing what, go back to something I always say. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? And do I need to be the one that says it? And so that's honing in you of knowing when to say something and when not to. Is that, I'm sure, Oscar, in your time, I'm sure, Chris, that there's times where I tell you something and you're like, what the hell is wrong with this idiot? I'm sure that, Oscar, in your time, as you dealt with enough officers where they come down and some butterbard come up to you and tell you something and you're like shaking your head like, who ties your boots in the morning, sir? But as you guys worked your way through corporate America and through the military and different things, wasn't honing in yourself part of the journey? I'm going to ask you both that.
Oh, I'm going to say absolutely. I mean, when I was thinking about this, my journey through life, at least when it comes to professional careers, I've made changes to that journey as a result of figuring out me better, if that makes sense. I came to a conclusion or a realization that, something either wasn't a good fit for me anymore, or I wasn't a good fit for it. And I did that by taking a deep dive and reflecting on who I am, what I am, how I function, and really just being honest with myself. Sometimes it wasn't, looking back, it didn't make me feel really positive about myself, but it was honest, right? Like, yep, Chris, you're not really cut out for this. Just be honest with yourself, pivot, and, figure out something else. Which, to be honest, that's, I've kind of told this story before, but that's how we came to do this together, because I'm a good detailer. I'm not a great business owner. It's just plain and simple. And I'm a better entrepreneur than I was an entrepreneur. And so when we had this opportunity to work together, after reflecting on that, I pivoted and made a change, because I admitted to myself that, what I was doing wasn't meant for me,
Yeah, absolutely. So Oscar, yours is a little unique because you spent a career, in the military so many years. So how, being starting at the bottom as you did and then working your way up pretty dang high up, how much skill sets did it take to work on yourself, and how important was that?
I think it was an everyday. I mean, one of the things I sent you guys yesterday was the Marine Corps leadership principles. And the number one is literally know yourself and seek self-improvement. That was engraved in our head day one in boot camp. You got to know yourself and seek self-improvement. And then there's different steps of how to go on to it. But to me, my biggest thing was I would always seek my, superiors' opinions, the counseling. We had a 30-day counseling session, 60 days, 90-day counselings, and they would tell you what's good, the bad, the ugly, and how to get better. So a lot of time in the military was spent working on yourself, making yourself better. And then as I went through the ranks, there's all the leadership courses that you take at every level. But it was a constant work, knowing yourself and And again, it's like seeking that and having thick skin. I feel that I can go to both of you and be like, hey guys, honestly, I need you to tell me, how do you feel about what I'm doing or the performance? I got to be able to take that. And like Woman said, pivot. If I'm doing good, let's continue to march forward. But if I'm not doing so good, I got to be able to stop, reset, and then pivot to the left or to the right, and then continue to go the other route, based on your peers and, bosses' opinions, because a lot of that comes through. You can be you, but again, are you going to fit in the situation? Do I fit in this circle right now of our team? Do I fit in a group? Do I fit, and this can go anywhere. Do I fit in the chamber? Do I fit in BNI? Do I fit, in Rotary Club? There's different things, and I've done different pivots where I was a part of all of these at one time, and then I've stepped back from one to, give more to the other. But a lot of it was analyzing myself. Am I really happy here? Is this really working for me? And then keep moving forward. And I think the problem in this, in the detailing side, is a lot of it is people just want to stay up with the latest and greatest, and they're doing more on the social media just to keep the social media crowds happy instead of keeping themselves happy.
Boy, amen.
And I think that's the biggest thing is we live a false life through social media. And it's like, well, Renny has this, so I got to go get it, so now I got to post it. And it's a lot of it is, are you really happy? I try to stay off a lot. I don't post a lot on there. But I see it. I see the post, and then I see what's reality. And it's like, it's not, it's not who you are. So why are we posting that stuff? Or why are we trying to live a life that we don't have? Why are we trying to live a lifestyle that we don't have right now? Yes, so you're chasing it, and that's good, but be honest with yourself, be honest with yourself, your family, your peers. And to me, my biggest thing is I always ask, and I have my guys that I talk to, Chris Williams and Daniel Gill, I'm always on with them, even Willem Lara, like we talk a lot within the group. These are the guys that I talk to a lot, and they'll tell me, and I tell them straight up, if they're messing up, if I'm messing up, that, I always ask for second opinions on anything that I do. And it's not because I'm not confident in myself. It's because I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, that I'm doing the right thing, and how it looks in the public eye, because a lot of us, we just fire from the hip. And when we do, it's noticeable. We can see who's doing it out there. And this is across all social media platforms in every industry. I see it everywhere. I see a lot of entrepreneurs out there, a lot of influencers right now. And that's like the big thing last year coming into this year. We see them, a lot of influencers.
Between people wanting to build videos and training, now that's the biggest, and it's all going to die out. We've seen this before, is that, it's I'll have somebody get a hold of me for the IDA that wants to be a recognized independent trainer. And I'll just have them pull up the website, and I'll say, hey, let's read down the requirements. And they get 2 or 3 down, and, they don't meet the requirements, but then 2 months later, they're a trainer. And it's like, what the, I mean, good for them. But on the same token is that, why are people going to them? Probably because it's either free or cheap. Right. And our energy, man, if you want to see your core worth and bring value to yourself, you got to protect your energy. Because if you're screwing around with your energy and you're spending it in the wrong way, man, I'll tell you what, that's a race to the bottom. You are tanking. Is that you've got to watch your energy and putting your efforts into bullshit. And I just love what you guys said, is we watch the Joneses. We see everybody that's going on there. Well, first off, most of it's bullshit. Second off, is Chris, how many months did Diane and I have the Porsche deal? It was like 1.5 years, right?
Yeah, something like that, or a year, whatever it was,
Yeah, but it was a long time. What we did is we went on a Porsche program, and we had a brand new Porsche every 2 weeks. We brought them into training. We'd fix them up. The dealership got wise to what we were doing, and so they would give us some problem cars, 911s, the whole fleet of Porsches. We had everything. And you think that here we've got a brand new, most of them were brand new, a couple 100 miles on them. We were driving these things. Diane just dug it. But was it really satisfying? No, honestly. I mean, it was cool, but was it soul satisfying? Soul satisfying to me is watching other people free up my mind where I don't have to, I don't know. I just shit most of the time. I think that anything that's going to bring me joy, that's tangible, the car right behind me, that brings me joy. That thing's paid for. It's not a concern. It's got a lot of cool memories in it. But a car, every time I get something, okay, our purpose-built overland vehicle, that brings a lot of joy because it's not just a point A to point B. And I'm a serious car person, but people will buy shit and they'll okay, I'm gonna build this into my business because it looks cool. I'm gonna get hexagon lights. I'm gonna get this incredible big shop. And I'm gonna tell you, if people are real honest with you, it's not real satisfying. Is the newness wears off. And then you're like, oh shit, this thing's aging out just like every other car I've driven, except it's a lot more expensive. And so I like purpose-driven vehicles that give me joy. My wife's old Porsche here that's 20-something years old. That gives a lot of joy. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun, but I'm not keeping up with the Joneses. I really don't care. I really don't. I want to do things that warms my heart and brings me happiness. And, and I think, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you guys mentioned keeping up with the Joneses and people posting stuff on the internet. I saw a good one posted the other day. It's actually a photographer I follow. It said, don't let the internet rush you. Nobody is posting their failures.
No, man. And most won't tell you that even when you get to a certain degree. I mean, I've made it pretty high up in the food chain within the industry, and you still got struggles, man. That just the level of struggle and the severity of it changes, and it's the tool again, exactly what you guys just put into it. What's the perspective? What am I good at? What am I not good at? And I know what I'm not good at. I know what I'm a good business builder. I'm a good salesperson. I know sales, and I know connection, and I know people, and I love people. I love people. And so, look, I really don't like all these. When I was a detailer and owned shops, and that wasn't all that long ago, that the last one, that I didn't have time for it anymore. I didn't pay attention to the other detailers. I knew what they were up to. I knew what they did good, and I knew what they weren't good at. So I would go in and hone in on that. But mainly it was my own story. I wrote my own story. I didn't pay attention to that. I didn't care what their shop looked like. Ours was just really clean and nice. And I knew what I had to do based off of my personality. When you start looking outside of your life, is people can motivate you, and I've even had people kind of mold my personality a little bit as I take traits that I like from people I've met and kind of build them into my traits. That's okay. That's cool. But I think embrace that internal inspection, that deep. What's your thoughts? And how do I do that, man? I journal, I mind map, I do all these different things. Is I'm constantly looking. I mean, I look at I look at people that are only into what they're into, and they've got such a small window of what they enjoy in life. Man, I just think that's a shame. I've got so many interests, I always have and always will. And, I just think that, looking at yourself and really knowing and not being afraid to have find some new loves and some new challenges outside of what you do for a living is so important. Seeking feedback is, again, I've gone through some advanced leadership courses, not near as many as what Oscar's gone through. I would sit there with other officers and watch them kind of be bummed that they're there. And I'm just taking, it's like even when we're on a podcast, I'm taking notes from our own podcast. I learn from every opportunity we have. And so go ahead.
No, I was literally taking notes myself.
Right. And so, we have to do self-evaluations in the Guard. And Oscar and I have talked about this. We even do it within the Mafia, as self-evaluations. And it's how are you doing? And it's
going out today.
It's going out today. And so what that is it's a way for you to take and know, hey, I stumbled a little bit this year. These are the areas I want to. It's not as a critical. It's not critical on you. It's to make you better at something. And so that's some feedback, some self-feedback, and then challenge some of your assumptions. There's so many. We can assume things, and most of the time are wrong, right? But with that, you got to listen to your gut. There's times where when you're hardcore about something, listen to your gut. There's 90% of the time, my first gut instinct is right. 10% of the time, it hasn't been, is it was wrong. And did it cost me? Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. But that's also how you develop a good gut instinct, is by having to learn what those boundaries are and what that looks like and how good you're getting. And you've got to have some life underneath you, But, narratives and again, it is so easy to go onto social media. I hardly ever go. I look at fun stuff on social media. I look at things that motivate me. I look at things that motivate me to live a better life, to be a better man, to be a good man. And so experiment, and try different things. Self-discovery, is so important, and exploring, different paths within your business, within your personality, even the way you sell. Is that, I was sitting at a table at an event this summer, and Jimmy, our buddy Jimmy, came up to me and he goes, "Man, boss, you're a little quieter than you used to be." And I said, I'm just listening to the table. And there's a time where you just got to listen to the table you're sitting at. And there's a time to speak. And what I found out in life, in the position I'm in right now, you can learn an awful lot by listening to the table. And, if you're an A-type, that might not be real easy. But I'm telling you, sometimes it's just quieting down and just watching people's reactions and just watching their body language. I learn a lot from those people that I can bring into my own life. And then B, I learn to stay away from some people and what maybe their motives have shifted. Some really good people that unfortunately their motives have shifted, and I just stay away from. I don't believe in New Year's resolution. Never have. I just want to. I want to get things in my life that I want in my life, and things out. So this year, last year, my goal was to really is to be present, to get active. And we semi did it, and it's getting easier and easier and easier to do it. This year is zero drama, none, 0. From me, around me, to me, I don't want any of it. And I just, we don't have time. I've got too many cool things happening, and I just want to be I want to be who I am, and who I am does not deal with drama well. And so, there's going to be detours. We're going to run into it. There's going to be some dead ends we hit. There's, moments of some confusion, but every step you're getting closer and closer to defining who you are and authentically you. And it's really important. I like that, the fact of, going to people and asking for some input, be really careful with that. There's going to be people that put you down just to put you down. There's going to be people that tell little fibs. Well, I've been seeing this, because they don't like that, what you're doing in life. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's because you're doing everything right, and they don't like it. There's the people that I've got a handful of people that, for instance, I'll give it an illustration. Well, both these guys, I bounce things off of both these guys on a regular basis. But my buddy Rich, grew up, man, we're lifetime friends. Diane, my wife, huge, probably the number one, right? But she's going to be kind sometimes. I'm her husband, right? We really dig each other. Jim Gogan, man, Jim is just, man. If you don't, he's from Boston area, and if you don't want to hear it, don't ask him, because he's going to give it to you straight. And sometimes it's not a good pill to swallow. And he's called me out a couple times on shit to where I deserved it, and that's when you've got the right people around you, is that they're calling you out for the right things because you're doing the wrong things that aren't you, and it's leading you down an ugly path. And so it's really, it's really something else. Now, embark on this, try this today, is write down, who am I? Mine's behind us. I've got a board filled right now, is that I mind mapped it out, man. I know who I am. Like I said, this year, I just can't deal with any drama. I just can't. I have zero mental space. There's only a little section of the brain that is designated towards that. And I'm not allowing that space to be filled up, because life is enough as it is. You're going to have losses. You're going to have deaths. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have differences. You're going to have health issues. You're going to have all these different things that can pop up, stress, slow times. Maybe some of you are are having to adjust to a normal November, December, January. Is that the good old days of COVID are gone, and now we're back to how it was, years past, decades past. And a lot of people are having to adjust to that, and a lot of people won't make it. And a lot of the reasons why is they've become something that they're not. They've allowed themselves to go out and be these people on social media. I like to gravitate towards people that is authentically them. And it's just amazing because I think of brands that are out there that are authentically of people I think that are just truly who they are, And I didn't mention them. I think Snoop Dogg, if you had a chance to sit down with him, I think what you see is what you get. Elon Musk, I think that what you see is what you get. I think Joe Rogan probably backs it off a little bit. I think he's a little more intense even probably in person than he is, because he's got, $100 million of sponsorship sitting there. He's got to be careful of, right? And even to me, I think that there's times that I tame myself down. I want to say things, but because of the people I'm associated with, I can't. One of these days I'll be able to, one of these days I'll be able to. And so it's from there. So now go explore, man. And, it's incredible. Your mind is a universe. It really is. And why I say it's a universe, and this is a note from Chris. I'm not going to own this. I'm going to ad-lib it though, is that the mind's a universe. Why is it a universe? It's big. It's complex. We really don't know shit about it. As much as science wants to say, oh man, science is ahead of mankind. Okay, we'll figure out the human brain because you don't know shit. The bottom of the ocean better than a person's brain. Their spinal cord. I mean, all that central nervous system is just, to me, it's divinely designed. It's designedly built. It was designed by somebody with absolute purpose. Now you need to go out and you got to find that purpose. And that purpose is it's per chapter. Your purpose is going to change. Diane and I are at a spot right now. We love our kids. Our youngest daughter turns 20 here in just about 2 months. And our priority is, we love our kids, but our priority is her and I. That's our purpose. That's our universe. We want to go out and learn things about each other that we just really haven't been able to do for the last 30 years because we're raising kids and we had a lot of responsibilities for other people, other humans. And so now it's about getting to really know each other's minds, and while we're getting to know ours, what we like, what makes us tick, and how much more alike we are and how different we are is that's an amazing factor right there. So with that, we can open it up. You guys got comments and questions. This would be a great time to do that. Great notes.
We had a lot of good comments come in since early on in this. I just want to go back to some of them here. I don't know who everyone is, but this one says, Facebook user, I feel like in order to succeed at life, you have to love yourself before you can truly love others.
I've loved each other. The problem that I think I've had is I've loved each other more than I've loved myself at times, and that's not healthy either. I agree. And I think that if you can get that balance down, you're going to be a better person. I just didn't have it. Matter of fact, there's times I loved complete strangers more than I love myself. Oscar knows exactly what that is. There's a person right next to you.
My head. Yeah, that's why I'm nodding my head because, even an institution, you can be in love with the institution, the group, and just for what it is and the cause, and you love it so much. But is it truly for you, and do you really love yourself while you're doing it? And a lot of it is, it's time spent in that, but I do agree with, you got to love yourself before you can, love others. And that I really believe in relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, stuff like that. Can you really show the love? If you don't love yourself, can you really have love for someone else? But yeah, I've been reading all the comments as they're coming in too. So it's been pretty interesting what people are saying here.
Barry just said, hey, I live to serve others. And I think that, I do too. And my only, one of the things that's come back is I'll share something really intimate. I was asking one of my grown kids, I was been in search and rescue for well before my kids were born. Right. And, real active in it. And deployments, I mean, last minute search and rescue, there's not a schedule. Is that, especially there's times I was team commander, as team safety officer, I mean, trainer, all these different positions I've had through the years. And I remember being so active of, getting picked up and dropped into to different spots. And the last thing when I got home is that I wanted to do was go climb in a sleeping bag and be in a tent, because I spent so much time already doing it. But that was kind of a really screwed up attitude, because exactly what my kids saw me go do, they wanted to go do with dad. And I didn't provide that. And so I took the needs of others and put it before my own and my own family. That's fucked up. Excuse my French. That's really fucked up. And when she said it in those plain words, I was like, damn, I just looked at her. I said, God, I'm sorry. I just didn't look at it that way. I thought I was doing good, but I wasn't serving the people closest to me. And let's be honest, part of that was ego too, of going out there and jumping in helicopters and going and getting shit done. I mean, I'm going to own it. And a lot of people, there's where the pussies out there that you guys are listening to won't own this shit, is they're not going to tell you this. And I'll get criticized. I'm going to have people, oh, look at, he admitted he wasn't the ideal dad. He admitted he did. Yeah, I'm doing it. You know why I'm doing it? A, it's me admitting it wrong. I feel good about myself by saying that. B, I hope you guys don't do that. 2 parts. So the haters, go out and hate, man. I love myself too much to listen to you. I don't give 2 shits. You're dumbasses anyway.
With that, Renny, my daughter, she's obviously older now, and I'm a grandpa. So this woman likes to throw it in my face. When
He's
I
a
went
grandpa twice.
I'm a grandpa, yeah, proud of it, but twice. But yeah, so my daughter brought up a thing where I would go up to Santa Maria for little events for my grandson for his, first day of kindergarten. I dropped him off, I picked him up, and that day we went out to lunch. We just spent the day, just me and my daughter, while he was at school for 4 hours. And she said, did you ever go to my first day of school? Ooh. And I kind of sat back and I was like, well, no, I didn't. I was honest. Like, well, why not? Where were you at? And I was like, well, I was doing this with the military. I was volunteering to go here. I was volunteering to go there. I was bouncing around every 2 years to do units, just to jump on deployments, just to do cool training and cool stuff. And it kind of just like, well, all she said was, I'm glad you're doing it for baby Isaac now, but I know that I missed the whole part of my daughter's childhood because I chose to do other things. Yeah. And it's hard to make up for it. We can't. At the time, I was just living that life, and I was living that lifestyle of volunteering to go to this state, to that state. I mean, I traveled the country, just getting involved in cool stuff, cool projects, cool exercises out there, and just raising my hand and doing different things. And I missed out a lot of my kids' childhood because of that, and, I can admit it and live with myself, but it's something that I can't make up. You can't make up for that time. And I think, tying it into business, we get so caught up in building the business and building a shop and getting clientele that we forget to go home to the family that's actually supporting us. We forget to give time to those that are really there for us, because at the end of the day, that shop's not going to be there. Your clients ain't always going to be there. They're going to move on to the next one. And at the end of the day, when you have nothing, you're going to have to look at that family, and are they really going to accept you back, after missing all that time? And I think it's important to give back and set time. And again, set that lifestyle of give your family that time that they deserve. Give the kids, it's okay to go away, get back away from the shop and, not do certain things or be there all the time. It's okay to do that.
I get what you're saying, that you can't go back. You can't do that time over again. I think you can kind of make up for it. I think in your case, Oscar, you kind of are, by being there for your grandkids, your grandson, that kind of stuff. You are kind of making up for it. And the other thing that you're doing is you're setting an example to them, right? So that going forward, hopefully they live by that example and don't end up making the same mistakes. I mean, we've got
right off of what Chris is saying is I took my dad, and I've never had a relationship, I remember seeing him when I was 5, and he just disappeared. Didn't see him until I was 20 something. And we've just had hit and miss, and most of those hit and misses is that I thought it was my dad's problem. Wasn't. My dad was staying away and keeping distance because he knew that I was an angry young man, and he knew that it was going to take and get uglier until I reached a spot to where it was better and I had a better perspective of things. So flash forward, my mom, I've shared this before, challenges me to go build a relationship with him. I can't imagine not having him in my life now. We didn't rehash anything. What happened is I realized the guy at some point realized that the whole situation was bad and he'd be better off I wish he would have sent some dough our direction so life wouldn't have been, so tough. But I don't know what his situation back then. I don't care. He doesn't need to explain that to me. I'm worried about the current and that I can call him up and we can talk cars and airplanes and real estate. And it's like we are never apart. It's like we had an entire life together, but yet it's only been 4.5 years. To me, that's magical. And that took a lot of self-evaluation and admitting, holy shit, this guy actually did a favor by backing away and not forcing this. And I never saw it. I didn't see it till I was ready to see it. And
Oscar's daughter may not have had a dad around that much when she was young, when he was younger, all that kind of stuff, but she's got one now, right? And that's what matters. There's people on, in my family that weren't around, during the young age of their kids, and they're still not around now for their grandkids. And that's the real tragedy, right? Is not growing, not maturing, not figuring it out, not trying to fix yourself, like those people.
I agree. So I think you're in a good position, Oscar, because you know what, like Chris just said, is that you've got an opportunity to look at my own father example. You're around a lot more than he was, but look at the respect that I've got. Is that, your daughter, is going to just get more and more respect because you're going to show more and more respect. And, and for your grandkids and our future generations, listen, I come from a really lineage of real fucked up family stuff, right? It's just the lineage goes back generations. It just went bad 3 generations ago. And I hope that, it slowly creeps back out. But I can see that my kids got some tendencies from Diane and I, from our backgrounds, that it's taken a lot of self-evaluation and going to our kids and going, look, this is things I'm seeing, sorry that these went down in your childhood, but, maybe the same things are happening, is don't duplicate what you witnessed, and I'm not, I make it sound, we weren't horrible. I just didn't hit the mark. I had this idea of what a dad was. I really never, I was just talking to a friend of mine. I never really thought about being a father. I was so busy being a kid still as a grown up that I was like, oh shit, this just happened. This little creature, this little human is part of me and I'm responsible for it. And what do I do? I never thought what I did. It was natural to just go in but I did everything I could, right? Was it all right? No. Was it, this car behind me, every one of our kids went to their first day of school. Our oldest daughter didn't because we didn't have it yet. But I think she went to her first day of first grade in it. And all of them went to their last day of high school in this car. And so was I there? Yeah, I was there for that. Was I there for game? Yeah, I was there for that. I was a great dad. I just wasn't an over fantastic dad that I wanted to be. Simple as that.
Well, the jury's still out what kind of dad I have been or am going to be. But the one way I like to look at it is I got good kids and they're fun to be around. They're not yelling at me. They're not throwing tantrums. So I might be doing something a little right, And
I'd echo it. We got great kids, man. Just watching them grow. Our son just spent 10 days with us here over the holidays, over Christmas. It was awesome to see, he's newly married. It was awesome to see how much he had grown, It's awesome to see, the independence. Our oldest daughter's flying, helicopters in Hawaii. Our son's got, is really going in a good direction. He loves his job. Our middle daughter is, she's got a family, 2 kids now. Our youngest one she's just a sweetheart. She's just got she's got a great soul. And so, it's pretty cool. So, Barry, thanks for jumping on, buddy. Happy New Year to you. You don't have any work to do. Come on, dude.
I was just going to say the same thing. He doesn't work.
You don't work. Come on. What are you talking about? You're going to go eat a jelly donut, dude. That's what you're going to go do. Yeah, that's exactly it. He's going to go work on his Tesla. Yeah. Yeah. I would say something, but I'd probably be in big trouble if I did. Barry, I'm going to send you a video when we're off of here because you know what? I can always tell when you're getting close to me in your Tesla because of the noise it makes. So I'm gonna send you a little video here in just a bit. So going uphill especially.
He says he works hard.
Yeah, he does. Look at the brand he's done. But it's real easy. He does a lot of volunteering and he puts a lot of good time into other people. And no, look at this. We have a Facebook user. Is that your daughter, Oscar's? I'm going to read this off. Is that your daughter have you now, but also needed you before when she was young? It keeps changing. The best thing you can do is communicate that to her and let her know that you've made mistakes and close that circle. That's exactly it. That's my kids. I just tell them, hey, man, missed the mark, but made it in others, and use it to your advantage.
I think that was Ricardo. So yeah. I wonder if he was on earlier when you brought him up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's so yeah. Well, any closing remarks, Oscar?
Just tying it back into what this is about, and my biggest thing is to tell everybody just know yourself and seek self-improvement. You can only get better every day. But get out of your comfort zone. There was a comment out here, and I'll go back through and I'll probably reach out to him. I'm not sure who put it out, but he said he wished he was a people person. Don't wish on it, become it. He said he wants to be a people person. Just go out there and do it. You got to get out of your comfort zone. For a long time, I would not sit behind a camera and actually do this live. I was, and it was people, within the Detail Mafia that got me out of the comfort zone and says, you got to get in front of the camera. And that was for the business, but this is, in the last 2 years, now I'm doing live podcasts with you, Renny, which is, I would have never thought of even being in front of a camera at one point, but I had to get out of my comfort zone. And again, that's knowing yourself and, honing in on your weaknesses and working on them by knowing your strengths, and use your strengths to work on your weaknesses. And again, I think I'll just close out with that is know yourself and seek self-improvement.
Chris, closing comment?
I actually just want to thank all the people that made comments during this. There was a lot of activity on the topic. I think that's pretty cool. I couldn't pull all of them up and everything, but the fact that you guys are chatting about this with us and amongst each other during this live stream is pretty cool. So I like that.
Yeah, over 100 messages, sent to us during this is pretty cool. And for those that are listening to the podcast recorded, we wish that we could read them all off. It is Ricardo, and he just put a note up that it was him. But I'll close it out with this: is that is some people aren't comfortable with my bluntness on where I missed it. I'm a strong personality, and if you look at where I came from, of being a really unsure special ed kid, I had to develop that. And so for somebody to say they're not a people person, probably the number one gift you can give yourself and others is being a people person. Is that, believe it or not, you're a gift, and you've just got to realize that, and that's the internal value that you've got to do that we spoke about today. And so if you feel that you're not a people person, is Oscar just nailed it, is become that. And as Chris just said, so many people talking about it, on this means that it's something important, and that we're hitting a chord with people. Is that, I've developed into the man I am today. It just didn't happen. But let me ask you this, and we're going to get out of here. Did you feel that you were going to do great things in life, Chris, Oscar, both of you? Or did it ever come up? Did you ever feel that way?
No, I was going on the wrong path. in my teenage years, I was involved in some stuff that I probably shouldn't have. And I'll give credit where credit's due. I had a recruiter who talked to me and kind of pulled me away from that, but I was definitely looking at doing some time as a teenager, and that recruiter kind of changed my mind and, got me involved and focused me to the Marine Corps. And once I got in the Marine Corps and they got a hold of me, I loved everything about it. And I stuck around. I never thought I would do a whole career and make it up to first sergeant. I thought I was just going to, do the bare minimum and get out. But then I just loved it so much that was life-changing for me, is going to boot camp and experiencing the military life. That helped me out tremendously in life and where I'm at now. That's literally what changed me. And it was, it was 50% me getting in trouble, but 50% of that recruiter getting me and talking to me and setting me in a different path. He took the time to and I'll never forget him. And, like I say, give credit where credit's due. And that's literally why I'm here now. And I do what I do. And I've given back so much to the community, to the group, why that's pretty much why I am that person, is because of that, because someone helped me out at one point where I needed the help.
Do you remember his name?
Yeah. Gunnery Sergeant Flores.
Wow. Hey, you mentioned it before. Chris?
Yeah.
I spent, what am I, 47? I probably spent at least 40 years wondering what I was going to do when I grew up out of those 47. I never really, I don't think I ever thought about if I was going to do great things in life. I think I don't know. That's a hard one. I look at my wife and I go, okay, what she's doing as a career as a teacher, she's making an impact. And so I've kind of used her as a thermometer or whatever for doing good things in life, right? She is doing good things in life. She's not famous, she's not gaining notoriety for it, but she's making a difference. She's making an impact. And most of my life, I wasn't doing that. I feel like now a little bit I get to participate in that with you guys. And so that helps, So to me, just being able to make a little bit of an impact, that's doing the good things or the great things in life. So
I love it. It's funny because growing up the way I did, I figured out real quick, and there's something a podcast where, people's thermostat around you. You want to have people that are warmer than you, is that you want to get heat off of those people around you, to gain traction in your life. And, good friend of mine, Carlos, we were talking last night, and he goes, I just don't feel like I bring the same heat to you that you bring to me. And I said, you do in a completely different way. Is that your sense of adventure? You're an immigrant. You came here from a different country. Is we don't all heat each other up the same exact way. I've got relationships that are all business. I got relationships that are all personal, and I've got relationships that go both directions, right? And jump into both of those. I really felt at a young age, because of some of the struggles that I had to put myself around hot rocks, is that I had to jump in. I remember being on my first mission, and all of a sudden the helicopter's coming in, and I've been preached to that, hey, until you're through hill attack, you don't get on the helicopters, right? Well, all of a sudden now, here comes the helicopter, pick us up, and I'm going, hey, man, I haven't been through hill attack. And they said, too late now. This is your hill attack. We're going, And it was a one-skid landing. We had to get off there. It was pretty spooky. And then I experienced drop shock for the first time. I don't know if Marines use that term on helicopters or not, but drop you into a fucking, zone. And you're like, holy shit, where the hell am I? And the difference in between that is, unlike what, Oscar and other warriors have done, I wasn't getting shot at, that's a whole nother level, right? We had concerns on that a couple times. We took fire, believe it or not, several times in the helicopter, but it was isolated, and it wasn't planned for. And half the time I didn't even know what happened until it had already happened. So it wasn't as spooky, but, go out, work on yourself. I really appreciate, a lot of people saying, people saying that, thanks for sharing this, that, it's an eye opener subject. Appreciate your open discussion regarding valuing ourselves. And I hope that you guys can. We all shared something intimate And again, most people are just going to share the shiny side of a new penny. They're not going to share the tarnished side. And the shiny side of anything is the easy part. The tarnished part is the hard one. So if we can get you through the hard stuff and train your mind, how to think, that's what detailing success is all about. That's what our training is all about. That's what the Mafia is all about, is taking and making sure that you don't hit the same pitfalls that so many of us did. And we launch you 5 or 10 years in front of where you're going to be if you don't get involved, at that level. So,
yep. Or if you did it alone.
Exactly. Oscar, thanks for jumping in, buddy. This was important.
Thanks for having me. It was a good time.
You got it. Is Chris? Hey, let me ask you this: does your daughter watch this? Oscar, do your kids ever watch this? Chris, did you?
My kids, my family, they don't. I'm sure they heard some of it. In the other room.
Right. Yeah, they're still home. Yeah, I'll be interested. Yep. It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if my kids do or not. I guess I should probably ask. Hey, Mark, what's up, man? But
yeah. I don't know if I want them to.
All right, guys. Hey, man, go have a powerful day. Thanks for checking in with us, and go make life great. Well, we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, guys. Thanks.
All right, thank you.